Hello everyone! Alright, so it is finally happening. We're finally doing the movie shelf tour. I've kind of teased you guys for the past couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. I kind of lost count. So here we go. Don't mind the big mess. I cleared off the entire shelf just so we can get straight down to the movies, and we can just Alright, so here it is. Finally, this is the movie shelf. I've been working on this shelf for like 5 years, maybe a bit longer. But I've put a lot of work into this and a lot of money. That's why I'm in severe debt. But hey, it is worth it. Because now if the power goes out, everyone's like, oh, I can't watch a movie because I have no internet. I can't stream Spider-Man on Disney. Hey. Got him right here. Don't need no internet. Got him right there. That's kind of why I collect, DVDs and Blu-rays and like actual physical copies of movies. Just because I don't want to have to like rely on the internet, I kind of like just be able to go like, hey, I feel like watching a movie. And just have them all right here. So yeah, I guess we can get started on this video. Okay, so what I'm going to do for this video is I'm actually going to separate it into 2 spots for you guys. I'll put the timestamp in the description so you guys can either choose to watch the whole thing or pick which section. Part 1 is going to be about the horror movie side, which is this whole section right here. And then part 2 will be about my other section, which consists of everything else that's not horror. Like, there's Spider-Man. There's Batman. There's just everything else. So horror side, everything else. Alright, I guess we'll get started because this is going to take a long time. Alright, so this is kind of going to be set up the same way like my comic book video. If you guys haven't seen that, future me editing this video, put it in the link in the put the link in the description box. Okay. But we're going to separate it into small sections and only focus on certain movies, because if I would go through every movie, we would be here for like 6 hours on just this half. Like, I'm being serious. It would take I've done this for like 5 years now. We got a lot of movies. So I'm going to stop yapping and let's get this thing started. Alright, so for the first part, I'm going to talk about my favorite movie of all time, John Carpenter's Halloween. I have this little box set. But if we take it out right there, right there, whoops. That is the original Halloween. It's my favorite movie of all time. I talk about it in my Q&A video. Future me, again, put it in the description box. I talk about how much I love the atmosphere and stuff like that. The other movie I'm going to talk about is American Werewolf in London. This is a great, goofy comedy, but also a horror movie. Hands down the best werewolf transformation scene of all time. Even though I think maybe the best looking or maybe the best like scariest werewolf probably goes to The Howling. But American Werewolf in London is definitely up there. Alright, time for a throwback classic. Creature from the Black Lagoon. This is my favorite monster movie. It's my favorite, in the section of like, Frankenstein and Dracula and like the Invisible Man. Creature has always been my favorite. I don't know, there's something about it that just draws me to it. I would love, hey, Universal. Robert Eggers did Nosferatu and he's making, a werewolf movie. If you guys are trying to put together the Dark Universe, call me. I'll do it. I'll do it. Alright, next we're going to talk about some girl power. Alright? Jennifer's Body. This movie, this is the movie. This movie's amazing. I love it. Megan, this is probably my favorite Megan Fox movie. I know everyone was like woo for her in Transformers. No, this one. But honestly, this story, it's a great movie. Story's really cool. It's such a good vibe. I love the song. It's Through the Trees. I have it downloaded on my phone. I listen to it on a daily. It's so good. Alright, and last but not least for this section, we're talking about my second favorite movie of all time, The Crow. I've talked about The Crow a lot. I love it. It means a lot to me. This one in particular with Brandon Lee, the best one. As I've talked about before in the past, guys, I'm making my own feature-length film of The Crow. It's currently in pre-production, not post-production. Sorry, it's currently in pre-production. We're still working on it. But yeah, I love this movie. This movie walked so the Dark Knight could run. I said it. But like, this has such a good gothic, horror, Halloween vibe to it. The soundtrack is chef's kiss. It's so good. One of the greatest soundtracks ever. Up there with the Lost Boys for sure. But this movie is fantastic.
Say that again?
Fantastic. Alright, so starting off with section 2, I'm going to start off with the best Halloween movie ever, and that is Trick or Treat. As I said, Halloween is my favorite movie of all time. If I'm looking for like the October Halloween holiday vibes, Trick or Treat. It is, it's centered around Halloween. Like, it's got vampires, it's got witches, it's got Beautiful Sam. Such a good movie. Definitely, I watch this every year on Halloween. I watch this and John Carpenter's Halloween. This is just such a great movie. The story's amazing. It's shot beautifully. The cinematography's great. And the way the way that they tell the story. Like, after you finish watching it and like connect all the pieces together, it's like, alright, so next, this is the movie that makes me stay out of caves and weird tunnels, The Descent. This movie is really cool. It's a pretty simple story. People go into a cave, they're exploring, and there's some weird creatures. There's like weird humanoid creatures in there, and it's a really simple movie, but it's very effective, and the story is great. I kind of just told you the story. I said the story, but yeah, you get it. It's a good movie. That's what I'm trying to say. Alright, next we have one of my all-time favorite movies. I love this movie so much because I remember the first time watching it, it blew me away. I was like, oh my god. And it is Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. This is the complete collection with all four of them. I'm talking about the original, the first one right there. There's just something about it. It's so good. And the first time watching it, the ending just, it shocked me. It was great. Still one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. I love it. And I'm pretty sure it's the first movie in history to show a toilet flushing. So, little history lesson. Alright, next up we got sexy man himself, Deadpool. We got Ryan Reynolds in Amityville Horror. Of course, this is a remake, but I'm not huge on remakes most of the time, but I love this movie. I prefer it over the original. I'm sorry. There's just something about this. Actually, okay, little side rant. You guys get ready for this. I have a weird story. Alright, I'm sorry this might make the video longer. It is worth it. So the first time I watched this movie, alright, I was like, you know what? I'm going to have a movie night. I got some popcorn, I got a drink, I sat back, I turned off the lights, and I watched this movie. And about halfway through it, whenever, the weird stuff started happening, the AC kicked on in my room and it got like really, really cold. And I was like, okay, AC works. Good, because my room gets good. Anyone who has been in my room, Colin, My room tends to get hot a lot. That kind of rhymed. But that's why I got a ceiling fan, because, it helps. Back then, I didn't have the ceiling fan. So the AC kicked on. I'm like, okay, this feels really good. But it got like super cold. And I was like, okay, it's cold. I'll grab a blanket. And the next day, I walk up to my dad. I'm like, hey, did it get cold for you guys last night? And Dad's like, what are you talking about? I was like, well, I was watching a movie and the AC kicked on and my room got like really cold. And Dad kind of like looked at me like, what are you talking about? And like he looked at me and he said, son, the AC is broken in the house right now. Like we didn't have AC. And I looked at him, I was like, huh? And he's like, yeah, the AC is not working right now. And I was like, then what was going on last night? But yeah, fun little side rant about this movie. I'm sure there might be a logical explanation, or some Shining stuff might be had. I don't know, but weird story. Hope you guys enjoyed. Next, we're talking about an all-time horror classic, The Exorcist. Now, I don't know how some people might take this, but here's a hot take I have. I actually prefer the third one. The third Exorcist movie is my favorite. There's something about it. I don't know. It's just like the cinematography is one of the key things for this movie for me. Also, with this one, it's got great cinematography as well. But there's just something about this one that, I don't know, the story and like, I don't know, there's just a lot of weird stuff in this movie that I prefer over the original. And yeah, that's my small hot take with these movies. Woo. Alright, so I'm starting this section off with a movie that I've had a personal challenge with for years, and I can't seem to beat it. Every time I watch it, I always fail the challenge. And the challenge is to make it through the entire movie without crying one time. And I can't do it. I'm talking about The Green Mile. This movie, one of Stephen King's greatest, novels. But this movie right here, I can't get through it. I don't care if I'm exposing myself in that way or what, but I can't do it. I watch this movie and the tears come. Okay, it just happens. If you all have seen this movie, then you know the struggle. You know the struggle of this. It's always the same spot. It's like, boss, I'm afraid of the dark. It's at the very end whenever I'm not trying to spoil the movie. But it's at the very end, and you know what's happening, and he looks at Tom Hanks and he's like, boss, I'm afraid of the dark. And it just, I can feel it happening. Right? No, don't do it. I felt tears for a minute. We're moving on. All right. This is a very underrated movie in my opinion. I never hear anyone talk about it, but it is The Hills Run Red. I love this case because it's actually a Blockbuster case, as you can see on the inside. If you can see that right there, it says Blockbuster. So it's really cool to it's really cool to own something from Blockbuster. But The Hills Run Red, it's such a cool movie. I'm going to explain the premise of the movie without trying to spoil the movie. So it involves a fanboy who is fanning over this movie called The Hills Run Red. And he's got his buddy with him, and the guy's like, dude, nobody cares about the movie, drop it. And the friend's like, and the fanboy, he's like, no. This movie scared people so bad that they had to, take it away from theaters. I want to know what's going on. So, he tracks down the director's daughter and the film bro, like the fanboy dude, his friend, the fanboy's girlfriend, and the director's daughter. They all go on a scavenger hunt to try to track down the movie and during that they're filming a found footage like documentary type thing about the movie. And can I really talk about the end of that without? Okay, I gotta cut some small parts out without spoiling the movie. But how do I talk about the end without spoiling this part? Oh my god. I'm gonna read the box real quick. Okay, yeah, that didn't help. How do I talk about this? Okay, oh, I don't think I can speak about near the end of it without spoiling the movie. With that, watch it. It is amazing. It's definitely worth it. The ending is crazy. Like, the very end of it is crazy. Now, I will say this. Don't be like me the first time I watched it. I watched it and I saw the credits and I turned it off. Stay after the first credits. The first credits are just a little sneak. They play the first credits for like 15 seconds and then the movie turns back on and there's a whole nother section. So stay after the first credits. It's like 15 seconds. You can skip it or you can set through it. But there's more. I turned it off. I was stupid. But this movie, watch it. Babyface is one of my favorite killers in all of horror genres. He's like, horror genre? Yeah, you get it. Babyface. It's amazing. The story is dark. Watch it. So, now we're going to go back to two of the classics. I already talked about Michael Myers. So now, Freddy and Jason. Okay? Freddy holds a very special place in my heart because my very first horror movie, my very first introduction into horror was A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. And I'm not going to go too far into the story because I talk about it in my Q&A video. So if you guys want to know the full story, go watch that. It's really cool. I talk about a lot of, stuff about me. But, I watched Nightmare 3 at a very, very, very young age. And Freddy Krueger was amazing. I thought he was cool. I thought he was cool and funny, okay? So I watched more Nightmare movies. And that led me to Freddy vs. Jason, which led me to Friday the 13th. And I'll be honest, I still prefer Freddy Krueger. I prefer the Nightmare movies just because, I'm not trying to diss on Friday over here, but a lot of their movies is not that good, and it's a lot of copy and paste. The two best ones is Part 6 and Part 4. But with Nightmare, it's not just kids go to a camp and they die. Nightmare, every movie is something different and something special. And it might be goofy, it might be scary, it might be downright stupid, but it's going to be different and you are going to enjoy it. It's going to be great. Now with this, you're like, okay, I'm waiting for Jason to come kill some kids. That's what I want. But with this, you're like, okay, Freddy's lurking around the corner. It's going to be creepy. It's going to be funny. It might be scary. It might be a good time. I might laugh. I might scream. But we're going to enjoy it. It's always something different, and that's what I love about it so much. I guess that's all I got to say about that. Kind of sound like Forrest Gump, but like, and that's all I got to say about that. On to the next section. I gotta cut that part. Alright, so we are on the final section of the horror movie stuff. And I picked 3 to talk about. And we're going to start off with The Mist. Another Stephen King movie. But I'm picking this movie for one reason and one reason only. And that is the ending. It is totally different than the book. I'm not going to get into that because I do plan on doing a bookshelf tour in the future. Because I have a giant Stephen King collection. And I don't really want to talk about that right now. We're going to talk about the movies. But anyone who has seen this movie knows about the ending and knows that it is so different than the book. And the first time I watched this, I was like, what just happened? And it's like, it's crazy. It really is. Because like, you don't think what's going to happen is going to happen. Like the whole movie, you're like, it's not going to be like that. And then it be's like that. You're like, what? it's crazy. It's such a good movie though. It is. There's one lady, I forget her name. She's like the preacher lady in the store. Oh my god! Every time I watch the movie, I just want to hop through the screen and oh, her character gets on my nerves so bad. It's not even like I'm not even like trying to act like it's a big deal, but it is a huge deal. Like, I've talked to people who've seen this movie and they're always like, "Oh yeah, it's a great movie," but that lady gets on my nerves. I just want to. I'm like, yeah, I feel the same way. I feel the same way. If you've seen the movie, you know who I'm talking about, and you probably feel the same way. I'm going to move on before I get heated up. We're going to talk about another classic. I've talked about Michael Myers. I've talked about Jason. I've talked about Freddy. We're missing someone. We're missing Leatherface. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974. This changed the game. Kind of. Halloween stepped in and made it better, but this was like the first big horror thing other than Black Christmas. But like this scene, like this not scene, but this movie, people think about it and they're like, "Oh, Leatherface, slasher. I'm going to see a lot of blood. I'm going to see a lot of gore. I'm going to see a lot of slashing." No. No. There's barely any blood in this movie. We barely see any gore, and there's hardly any slashing. This movie messes with you mentally because you think you see a lot. Like, you watch it and you're like, "Oh, I just saw Leatherface take a chainsaw and chop somebody in half." We think we do, but we actually don't. Our brains see something that's happening and the camera angles, and we put it, and like our brains kind of like piece it together, and we think it's like so much more graphic and worse than what it actually is. But this movie is famous for one scene. It is famous for the infamous dinner scene at the end. Ugh. It's so... The way it's shot with the close-up of the eyes and the screaming, where she's like barbed wire to the chair and she's like screaming in agony and pain, and her eyes are bloodshot and her pupils are dilated. And the family with Leatherface, the hitchhiker, and the cook, and they're all just sitting there laughing at her. And Grandpa's in the chair like, "Arr!" And it's just the way it's shot, and like the color of it, and just the way that it's the sound. It's just so disturbing. It really is. I might sound like I'm making a big deal out of it, but watch this movie and go into it. Don't go into it with the mindset of nowadays. You're like, oh, it's low budget. Go into it thinking about what this movie is, and get to the end with the dinner scene, and you're not gonna want to eat at a dinner table for like a week. Every time I watch this movie and I go into the kitchen, I see my table, I'm like, I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna go to my room and I'm gonna eat something in there. I'm not sitting at the table. It might just be me. I might be weird. But yeah. Moving on. This is another underrated movie. This movie is a comedy, it's a horror, and it's amazing. We got Cabin in the Woods. I have a really cool case on here to where it shows the cabin, but if you move it, we got monsters. Whoa! But you take it off and there's the actual thing. I leave it on because whoa, ba-doom, ba-doom, ba-doom. It's really cool. This movie has Thor. It's got Chris Hemsworth. Fun fact about this movie, Chris Hemsworth was actually in this before Thor, but the movie Thor came out before this was finished filming. So what happens was he was filming this movie first, and then he went on to do Thor, and then Thor got finished before this did, but he was technically in this before Thor, so really cool. What this movie does, it tries to explain horror movies. It tries to explain why the teenagers act horny, and why the teenagers are stupid, and why they make stupid decisions, and like what all happens. Because this movie has like an underground corporation, and they make bets on people going to a cabin, and they make bets on people in schools, and they make bets on people in the woods and like stuff like that. And they play a game to see what creatures are going to go after. the people. And what they do is they have like all these places rigged up with like gases and like all these different things that make the people like loopy in the head and act very stupid. And what this movie does, it tries to give us an answer of like why we're watching a movie and we're like, hey, that blonde chick should not be going up the stairs. She should be going out the door. This movie tries to answer that question and it makes it like, oh, it's all set up like a reality TV show in a way. And it's such a good movie. It's got so many cool monsters. Little note for all the filmmakers out there. Watch this movie. Take a screenshot or take a picture of the monster board and make movies about the creatures from this, because there are so many different cool creatures that are on the monster board and that we see throughout the movie that we need movies about. There are so many cool different, like there's I don't know if it shows it. It might show it on the box. I think it's that one. But there's like a fishman type creature in this thing that would be a perfect movie. So Hollywood, watch this movie. Take a picture of the board. Focus on the strange monsters and give us some really cool movies. I'm tired of having remakes and sequels and prequels and requels and all this junk. I want something new. I want some cool things. Give me some good horror movies. Side rant's over. I apologize. But I guess that's about it. That's all I got to say for this part. We're going to move on to part 2. And that's going to be like the regular movies, like Spider-Man. There's going to be some Batman and stuff like that. Woo! Alright, so I went ahead and put the stuff back on the shelf. Now we're going to get to the other side. This is going to be a lot. This is going to be very weird because like right here it goes Bruce Lee, Planet of the Apes, and Pirates. Just so you know what you're getting yourself into. I'll stop yapping. Let's do this. Bro fist. Alright, so here we are. We are on the final stretch. I'm going to start this off with my favorite actor of all time, Heath Ledger. This is A Knight's Tale. There's Knight's Tale. Here's The Dark Knight. Brothers Grimm. 10 Things I Hate About You. The Patriot. Yes, it shows Mel Gibson, but Heath Ledger is in this movie, as we can see right there. The Order. Lords of Dogtown. There's Heath right there. Candy. This is such an emotional and dramatic movie. It's, again, mwah. Here's Brokeback Mountain. What else can I say? It's Brokeback Mountain. And here's a documentary titled I Am Heath Ledger. I think that's all my Heath Ledger movies. I'm a huge fan, as you can tell. He's my favorite actor. He's the reason I started acting and like doing stuff like that. And his movies are great. I love them. Time to move on to one of the greatest comic book movies ever made. Watchmen. It's like it was ripped directly from the comics. It's amazing. Rorschach's my favorite. I love Jackie Earle Haley. Big fan. As you're going to see throughout this collection, I have a couple more of his movies. I love Jackie. He's amazing. I loved his little cameo in Shutter Island. Big fan of Jackie. Alright, next we have one of my favorite childhood movies. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. Jack Sparrow, Johnny Depp. I loved him growing up. I still do love Johnny Depp. I loved the Jack Sparrow run. The Jack Sparrow run. I think I said that right. I don't remember. I might have said rum. I don't know. But yeah, I love this movie. It's still very good. It's kind of crazy that the CGI on Davy Jones looks better than most of the CGI that we get nowadays. I don't know. I guess people just cared more back then. I'm looking at you, Hollywood. But yeah, I love this movie. I'm going to continue because we got like 3 more parts to go through. 2 more parts to go through. Yeah. Alright, so to start this part off, we're going all the way back to my childhood. I remember, like, I have like distinct memories of coming home from school and watching Transformers Energon. It was like a little animated like movie or show. I don't really remember if it was a show or just a movie. But it's like a small Transformers like cartoon, and they're hunting down like this energy called Energon. And this was actually my first introduction to Transformers. I didn't watch the movie with Megan Fox. I watched this. Of course, I ended up watching the movie with Megan Fox because, for the story purposes, of course, it's a good movie. For the story purposes. Okay. But we're talking about this. This is such a good movie. I have memories of it. I'll be honest, I don't remember a lot. I don't remember. I just remember nostalgia and having a great time watching it. Who knows? It could be very bad. But I'm always going to love it just because it has a personal connection to me and it means a lot. Going back with having personal connections, without a paddle. This is such a good movie for me. I rewatched it recently and I think I get very nostalgic watching this movie. I get very emotional a little bit because I remember back when times were simple. I was just, a wee lad, and I would come home and watch this movie, and I think about, just how much time's passed since then. I'm like, wow, time just goes by a lot. Time just goes by way faster than we wish it would. But I love this movie. It's got Matthew Lillard, it's got Seth Green. This is actually my first introduction to Matthew Lillard, other than Scooby-Doo, of course, and then of course Stu from Scream. But this is a good little feel-good, funny comedy movie to sit down and watch. It's very entertaining. Now, earlier I mentioned Jackie Earle Haley, and here we got Jackie Earle Haley in Little Children. This is probably by far maybe his best role other than Rorschach. I mean, wasn't he? Yeah, he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor in this movie. He didn't win it. I forgot who won it. Someone who did not deserve that. Well, Jackie deserved this win for this movie. He put so much into this performance that his character is like is it a pedophile? Is it like, do we call him? Can I say that on you? I think I can say that on YouTube. I'll say something else from now on. But yeah, Jackie's character is that, and he feels guilt in this movie, and like he's trying to grow and become better, but the town just does not allow that to happen, and there's a lot of tragedy with his character in this movie. Of course, it's not based around Jackie. Like, it's not centered around Jackie. It's centered around the chick from, what is her name? Kate from Titanic, and Patrick Wilson. It's centered around those two, but Jackie just steals the show. And there's a scene near the end of him in the playground sitting on the swing. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Oh God, it's the first time I watched it, I was like, no, what? Oh my God, it's amazing. Right there it says best film of the year from Los Angeles Times. By far, it's such a good movie. I need to stop talking about it, or else I'll be here all day. Alright, I kind of showed these at the start of the movie, or at the start of the video, sorry. Spider-Man! Here is the Sam Raimi trilogy. I love all of these. Spider-Man is amazing. Spider-Man 2 is the best one out of these. Spider-Man 3 holds a soft spot in my heart. Going with Spider-Man here. I don't have the actual case for it. I don't know where it went. But there is the Amazing Spider-Man. And then the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Andrew Garfield is by far my favorite Spider-Man. He is my favorite Peter Parker, my favorite Spider-Man. For live action, if we're talking about, you know, live action and animated, Andrew is my favorite live action. And then the Spectacular Spider-Man animated series show is my favorite animated. Those two are my favorite. I love them. I feel like, I don't know, there's just something about Andrew which I just love. I love the way how he crawls around like a spider whenever he is Spider-Man. There's just something about Andrew as Spider-Man that just hits hard. And especially with him in No Way Home, whenever he saved Zendaya, and you know, he just sat there holding her, and I was like, oh, I cried. I did. I don't care. I've talked about how much I've cried during movies. I don't care. I cried. It was worth it. But yeah, Andrew is my favorite. I love Toby, and I'm excited to see what Tom's gonna do now with, you know, Tony Stark dying. I don't think he's dead. I don't think Tony's dead. I'm not gonna get into it, but I don't think he's dead. But you know, because at the end we see Tom has like this very comic accurate suit, and there's no gadgets. It's just him. So I'm very excited to see what he's gonna grow to become. And yeah, that's all I gotta say with this section. Time to move on. Alright, this is the final part. This is it. So, to start it off, I'm going to start off with a good movie. Scooby-Doo, A Zombie Island. I love this movie. Again, hey Hollywood. I want a live-action Scooby-Doo 3 and make it about Zombie Island. Alright? I need this. I need this before I pass. Sometime between now and then, I need this in live action. Okay? Hurry up. I brought up Megan Fox earlier. There we go. We got Transformers. We got the original Transformers with Megan Fox. There we go. I brought it up earlier. Enjoy it. Next up, we got Ernest. Another great childhood movie. If y'all have seen it, you know it is absolutely amazing. My favorite and the best one is Ernest Goes to Camp. Oh, there's something about him which is just wonderful. I love it. John Cena kind of looks like Ernest now. It's kind of, you know, hopefully that image is stuck in your head. That'd be a good movie. Bring John Cena to play like Ernest's son, like Ernest's son. I don't know, just spitballing. Be fun. Alright, now something that's very important. My Deadpool collection. Here is my introduction to Deadpool. Hulk versus. This has Hulk versus Wolverine and Hulk versus Thor. As you can see right there. Turn on the back. There's Deadpool. He's in the Hulk versus Wolverine, voiced by the great Nolan North. That's what got me started with Deadpool. I think I talked about it in my Q&A or my comic book video. One of them. And that led to me getting very excited for X-Men Origins and getting very disappointed with X-Men Origins. And then, just like Jesus Rising, we got Deadpool. This is the 2-disc collection with Deadpool 1 and 2. And then I'm just going to slide it in, that's what she said, with Deadpool and Wolverine. This was probably my favorite movie of 2024. Just seeing Hugh Jackman finally in the suit and finally wearing the mask. Oh my God. Things happened in that movie theater that I am not going to discuss here on YouTube because I will get canceled quickly. We're not talking about it. If you guys seen Deadpool and he's with the unicorn, you know what I'm talking about. That's what happened. Moving on, I love these. These are my favorite thing. As you guys know, I'm obsessed with Deadpool. I love Deadpool so much. Lego Deadpool. Boom. But yeah, I love them. I love Deadpool. What else can I say? I always talk about Deadpool. Every video I've mentioned Deadpool at least once. if I had $1 for every time I said the word Deadpool, I would be the richest man ever. Yeah. Alright, everyone, so the shelf is put back together, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I finally did it after teasing it for like 2 or 3 weeks now. Again, I did it in the same style as my comic book video, just because if I went through every single movie, we'd be here for 5 hours on just this section. So, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did, leave a like, subscribe, share to your friends. Go like, hey, this guy uploaded, share it. And, I hope you guys have a great day or a great night, whatever you guys are having right now. Hope you all are enjoying yourselves and staying safe out there. And, I'm going to wind down. It's really late. Where's my phone at? It is right here. It is, if I can get my phone, it is 3:11. It's late. I've been doing this for about 2 hours now. And I just saw that Peacock added one of the greatest pieces of cinema ever. This movie is if you search up the word cinema in the dictionary, this movie pops up. Peacock added Kung Fu Panda 2. So I'm gonna watch it.